There's more to Fox News Radio than meets the ear. Go behind the headlines and join the conversation on the hottest stories of the day on the Fox News Radio Facebook page. Be a part of the Fox News Radio Facebook fan community. Post comments and tell us your opinions. See behind-the-scenes photos and videos and post your reactions to the stories that matter to you. Click the like button on Facebook and connect with breaking news and features like Fox in the Fast Lane, House Call for Help, and more. Go to Facebook.com/Fox News Radio.
If you own a business, you know incorporating can be a smart way to protect yourself and your assets. So the question is, why haven't you incorporated your business yet?
My business? It's too small.
Wrong. No matter how small your business, you run the risk of losing all your personal assets, your car, your home, even your entire life savings if you're not incorporated.
Incorporating is very complicated.
Actually, incorporating is easy and fast. You can do it in just 10 minutes. Call now for your free guide from LLC.com. 1-800-943-5846.
I need a lawyer to incorporate. That's really expensive.
You don't need a lawyer, and we don't offer legal or financial advice. LLC.com is a service company whose only mission is helping people like you incorporate safely, easily, and quickly. Find out how simple it is to protect your family and personal assets by incorporating. Call now for your free guide. 1-800-943-5846. 1-800-943-5846. That's 1-800-943-5846.
All right, zero savings in this country. Here are some stocks to get them going. Charles Payne.
Well, like Kansas City Southern Rails have been great for the last 100 years and will be for the next 100 years.
Adam, what do you make of that?
Well, they've disappointed their investors a lot, and so I just don't think that would be the best call for somebody looking to boost their savings.
All right, how are you boosting it?
Something I own is the Lord Abbett Short Duration High Yield Bond Fund. Neil, it pays like a 3.7% yield, so this is a good way to earn money on your investments.
Bond fund, what do you think?
It's okay. They've a lot of triple B paper. It worries me a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a lure.
I mean,
there's a lure in it, for God's sake. David Asman now.
The best in Fox News Talk and the latest from Fox News Radio. This is the place to be. Fox News Talk. Fox News Talk.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Gay marriage bans have been struck down lately as unconstitutional in 9 states. And same-sex couples in Oregon are hoping for number 10 today. Fox News Radio's Jeff Manasso has more live.
A federal judge expects to rule on a challenge to Oregon's gay marriage ban brought by 4 gay and lesbian couples who argued the ban was unconstitutional and excludes them from a fundamental right. The state's Democratic Attorney General, one of many across the country, also refusing to defend the law. We expect the judge's decision at noon Pacific time, and if he allows it, officials in Oregon say they'll begin issuing gay marriage licenses immediately. Dave.
Jeff, this is a big deal. AT&T buying DirecTV for $49 billion to better compete with cable.
A combined AT&T DirecTV would be the country's number 2 TV provider, right behind a combined Comcast Time Warner Cable. And together, those companies would control more than half the market for paid television.
Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti. Both of those big deals need to be approved by federal regulators amid concerns of less competition and higher prices. It's militia versus militia in Libya, the day after Parliament was attacked.
It's looking like there could be a showdown between rival militia groups in the capital Tripoli. It began yesterday when a militia group led by a rebel general stormed Parliament in what they say was an attempt to rid the House of hardline Islamist lawmakers. The country's army chief has now ordered the deployment of Islamist-led militias to confront what he says is an attempt to take over power. The government insists they have a grip on things, but it's not clear who's currently in control of the Parliament. Emily Wither, Fox News Radio.
2 more arrests in Turkey in the coal mine explosion that killed 301 miners. Turkish news reports say company officials ignored indications of rising gas levels in the mine 2 days before. A spying operation busted up. The Justice Department will announce later this morning criminal charges in a cyber espionage case involving a foreign government. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Social Security is helping people with severe disabilities get benefits quicker through the Compassionate Allowances Initiative. There are now 200 disabling conditions that qualify for Social Security's expedited disability process. Since October 2008, nearly 200,000 people with severe disabilities nationwide have been quickly approved, within days instead of months and years, using this expedited process. Compassionate allowances are a way of quickly identifying diseases and other medical conditions that clearly qualify for allowances based on objective medical information that we can obtain quickly. For more information on the Compassionate Allowances Initiative, including a full list of qualifying conditions, please visit www.socialsecurity.gov/compassionate allowances. That address again is www.socialsecurity.gov/compassionate allowances.
We're getting closer to the end of the Supreme Court's term, so we are on ruling watch for the last big cases.
Between now and the end of next month, the Supreme Court is expected to rule on employers' objections to the healthcare law's contraception mandate and a challenge to a group of President Obama's recess appointments. A Massachusetts law aimed at keeping protesters a safe distance from abortion clinics was met with skepticism, though the court has not yet ruled on that First Amendment challenge, or an Ohio law prohibiting untrue political ads. And broadcasters are closely watching how the justices handle the case of an internet company offering up network television through an online connection without paying content fees. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News Radio.
Supporters of a former Marine imprisoned in Iran go to Washington today.
The vigil outside the White House aims to highlight the plight of Amir Hekmati, sentenced to death on spying charges in Iran. He was recently resentenced to 10 years in prison. Michigan House Democrat Don Kildee says he's happy with what the White House has done so far, but he hopes recent nuclear talks increase pressure on Iran to free Hekmati.
The ball is clearly and squarely in the court of the Iranian leaders, and it's up to them to decide whether or not they want to be taken seriously.
Meanwhile, an administration official tells Fox News Radio they continue to have serious concerns about the fate of Amir Hekmati, saying his conviction was based on fabricated espionage charges. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News Radio.
Gas is cheaper, down about 3 cents the past 2 weeks, an analyst Trilby Lundberg's nationwide survey.
If crude oil prices drop because of lessening of some tensions in the world, then instead of a small drop at the pump that I'm currently expecting, it may be a very big one.
Her average for regulars $3.69 a gallon. AAA's is 4 cents less. Pfizer denied again by rival drug maker AstraZeneca, rejecting Pfizer's bigger offer of $119 billion to buy the company on Wall Street. Futures down a little before the opening bell. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
Did we just get the smoking gun in the IRS targeting scandal? Newly released emails indicating the targeting was indeed coming from tax officials in Washington, not just rogue workers in Cincinnati, like we were told.
An office in Cincinnati.
The office in Cincinnati.
People in the Cincinnati office.
In the Cincinnati field office.
So with all the evidence stacking up, will the White House finally stop blaming Cincinnati and start blaming Washington, or will a special prosecutor have to be brought in? Hi, everybody. I'm David Assen. Welcome to Forbes on Fox. Let's go in focus with Steve Forbes, Rich Carlgard, Kerry Sheffield, John Tamney, Rick Unger, and Mike Ozanian. Steve, the White House sticks to its story.
Well, of course they're going to stick to it because this story is about to stick to them. This is one of the ugliest political scandals in American history. Those 10 senators that Lizzie McDonald revealed had written letters to the IRS. They just didn't do it on their own. The commissioner of the IRS, at least 120 visits to the White House, not just to visit the Easter Bunny on the Easter egg hunt, as he says he went over there for. The chief of staff of the IRS, upwards of 300 visits. This is going to get smellier and smellier, and they're going to try to suppress it, but it ain't going to work.
Rick, why do they stick with that story when there's all this evidence?
Why do I get the sense this is going to be a rather difficult day for me here today? Look, I'm reminded of something my old good friend Lanny Davis, the crisis manager, points out, which is if you got a problem, get it out, get it all out, and get it out in front of the scandal. I don't know that we have a smoking gun here, and let's do keep in mind that the objective of the opposition has always been to pin this on the White House. That hasn't happened. Not saying it couldn't happen, hasn't happened yet. But, yeah, none of this is helpful. Why not just say what happened and say it at the start?
Well, John, it's not trying to pin it on the White House. It's trying to get to the truth of who started targeting conservative groups. And, of course, the White House has said it was all in Cincinnati. Now we have these emails, including one, by the way, suggesting that various criteria be used to specify what the Tea Party is. They say, do the applications specify Tea Party? If not, how do we know the applicant is involved with the Tea Party movement? That comes from Washington, D.C., going to Cincinnati. It's all coming from D.C.
Of course, no serious person thinks that a field office in Cincinnati concocted a plan to muzzle Tea Party groups. We know what happened. Tea Party groups very much influenced the 2010 elections. The Democrats and the Obama administration did not like that. They decided in 2012, we've got to restrain them a little bit. We don't like what they did in 2010. And so they sicked the IRS on them. The idea that this came out of Cincinnati is laughable, so it does need to be investigated.
And actually, it's laughable that it was just Lois Lerner involved. In fact, Mike Ozanian, some of the emails that have come out show that she was in touch with the Justice Department to try to actually prosecute some of these Tea Party groups.
Yes, David, you're right. And going back to your original question, I think you have to look at the overall trend in the Obama administration when it comes to dealing with scandals to see why we're going to need a special prosecutor. They lied about Obamacare. They've never told the truth about Benghazi. Eric Holder was held in contempt about Fast and Furious in Mexico. So you have all of these things. They're never going to tell the truth because it's not in their DNA. You're going to need a special prosecutor to get to the bottom of this.
Well, Rich, we do have press conferences at which White House officials, including sometimes the president himself, are asked whether or not this just came out from Cincinnati or whether anybody outside of Cincinnati was involved. The next time they're asked that question, with all this evidence piled up, how can they still pin it on Cincinnati?
Well, I'm afraid what you're going to get is what you got in Benghazi, where a White House spokesman says, dude, that was so 2 years ago. You know, this really rises to a scandal that exceeds anything Nixon has done. When you have Lois Lerner saying that we should target groups who question the administration on things like debt and spending and the course of government, I mean, these are what democracies do. Or when she's emailing with the Department of Justice saying we should throw one of these Tea Party groups in jail, maybe they'll all get the message. This is dictatorship.
Well, and Kerry, that is exactly what our Constitution is opposed to, was designed to oppose, was using the powers of office to go after groups that you disagree with politically.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Constitution guarantees freedom of association, and it's incredibly hypocritical that liberals are going and crying about the fact that, oh, we need to limit free speech when it comes to campaign donations. The Constitution has been held up repeatedly by the Supreme Court on that issue, and yet they turn around and they give a blind eye to this blatant obstructionism to the Constitution, which says people should be able to associate with whom they choose. And frankly, what we have right now is it's a sliver. It's a small sliver of what we actually know. It's been obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, the FOIA, and there are limits to what you can get from FOIA. This is why we need a special prosecutor.
Counselor Rick, what do you think of that?
I don't know if I even followed all of that. Actually, I thought Kerry was going to say something else, and I was all ready for it, and she didn't do it.
Like what? The fact that Obama has an asterisk.
But what about a special prosecutor, Rick? If we're not getting the White House to come clean about this being something other than a Cincinnati operation, don't we need a special prosecutor?
You know what? I actually have never had an objection to a special prosecutor. I don't know why people get so freaked out about the idea. I was troubled at the initial reaction of the Justice Department to appoint somebody to look into this who we know has given money to the president's campaigns. Dumb. Shouldn't have been done that way. If the Justice Department can't do an investigation that you, David, will believe in, then do a special prosecutor.
Yeah, well, particularly, Steve, the problem with that is it looks like Lois Lerner might have been conspiring with the Justice Department on issues of Tea Party people and investigations.
Well, again, that's why I don't like special prosecutors, because they tend to run amok. But this is a case where you need somebody from the outside to do it. Like in the case of Watergate, that never would have come out if you didn't have special investigations. Mm-hmm. And the nonchalant way the president went after Bill O'Reilly, saying there wasn't a smidgen of corruption in this whole thing, shows this thing stinks to high heaven.
Well, and John Tammy, in that interview with O'Reilly, of course, the president also blamed it on, tried to pin it all on Cincinnati. If the White House finally comes out and says, look, it's clear from the evidence we can no longer say it was just Cincinnati, they've got to find somebody to throw under the bus. That's how things work in Washington, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. Are they going to throw Lois Lerner under the bus, or who?
I think it's going to have to be someone much, much higher than Lois Lerner, and the reason for this is basic. Tea Party impacted the 2010 election substantially. In 2012, they were muzzled in a substantial way that may have impacted electoral outcomes, not to mention legislative outcomes. Right. The idea that the electorate would sit back and just say, okay, you can give us some bureaucrat from the IRS and that's enough, it isn't credible. They're going to have to do much, much more than that.
Well, and Kerry, specifically, because it's not just Lois Lerner emails we're looking at. We're also looking at emails from members of Congress.
Exactly.
Carl Levin. There are 12 12 different groups that he was trying to target, according to these emails.
No, and he's conveniently retiring. It kind of makes you wonder, is this a voluntary, or is he sort of the sacrificial lamb? I mean, this could very well be just the tip of the iceberg.
You don't get 10 or 12 senators doing all this at once unless somebody's quarterbacking it. And Lois Lerner, the reason why they're not going to make her the scapegoat is that she'll then say, all right, I'm going to turn evidence because I'm not going to go under the bus for this.
Mike Ozanian, it's fair to say, is it not, that this story is not over, that there's a lot more that we need to discover about all this?
Absolutely, which is why we need a special prosecutor. And I think the real point here, besides the constant dishonesty that's come from the Obama administration, is what Rich Colgard said. What they did here goes against the very essence and principles of the Constitution. I mean, this is what dictatorships do in other countries. So you're going to need a special prosecutor to get to the bottom of this because it's so severe, David.
All right. Well, we're not going to stop looking for the bottom of this case. Thank you very much, gang. Filling the potholes with plants. That's what this Indiana man did when he got fed up with all those potholes. Well, now some here will show him and D.C. how to fill them all up without putting a hole in our pocketbooks.
You must be your fairy godmother?
In the classic fairy tale, Cinderella's dream comes true because the glass slipper fits.
It fits.
In our world, the right fit can be just as important.
Good heavens, child. You can't go in that.
Especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose a car seat that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
Oh, that does make a difference.
To make sure your little pumpkin gets there safely every time.
Hop in, dear. Thank you.
Remember, you're responsible for protecting your children. Their happily ever afters are in your hands. For even more information about choosing the right car seat, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. This message has been brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
An organization that's still in the news is the United Nations. On June 26, 1945, President Harry Truman commented on his signing of the United Nations Charter, hoping it would bring an age of world peace.
The Charter of the United Nations, which you are now signing, is a solid structure upon which we can build for a better world. History will honor you for it. You have won a victory against war itself, for it is a declaration of great faith by the nations of the earth, faith that war is not inevitable, faith that peace can be maintained. If we had had this charter a few years ago, and above all, the will to use it, millions now dead would be alive.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Fresh, fun, informative. It's Fox and Friends.
Hashtag that.
Weekday mornings, pull up a seat and join Steve, Elizabeth, and Brian on the curvy couch.
We're going to do something that has never been done.
Get a jump start on the important stories, hot topics, and issues everyone will be talking about.
It's a fascinating story.
Plus, you never know who's going to stop by.
I am glad to share a smile with you this morning.
Or what's going to happen next. Come on, come on, come on. Get in on the conversation. Weekday morning, Fox and Friends on Fox News Channel.
Live from America's News Headquarters, I'm Kelly Wright. An arson suspect pleading not guilty to setting one of the wildfires raging in Southern California. Authorities say nearly a dozen fires are burning in the region, but most of them seem to be dying down now. Thousands of firefighters and fleets of water-dropping helicopters have resumed their efforts taking on the wildfires this morning. So far, the flames have consumed nearly 20,000 acres and destroyed 8 homes. New fallout in the Veterans Affairs scandal. The top official in charge of medical care for our vets is resigning amid allegations of delays in treatment and falsified records of waiting times. Also, House Republicans are expected to vote next Wednesday on legislation that would give VA Secretary Eric Shinseki greater authority to fire or demote senior executives. I'm Kelly Wright. I'll see you back here at 1 p.m. for America's News Headquarters. Now back to Forbes on Fox.
Well, folks, the roads are so bad out there that one Indiana man is protesting all those potholes by filling one up with a plant. His video going viral the same week the administration is pushing for even more federal funding to repair our roads and bridges. But, Rich, you say we already have enough money for the potholes.
Yeah, we do. You know, and what's really disturbing here is that in the 20th century, government projects included the Golden Gate Bridge, the interstate highway system, you know, in space travel, putting a man on the moon. I don't know why the government is so screwed up and can't build big infrastructure projects or improvements today, but the fact of the matter is they can't. We need to get more private competition. I was on a private road from John Wayne Airport to another place in Southern California. It was a beautiful road.
Well, Bill, as Rich suggests, it's not rocket science filling potholes.
I think there's a rare case where the unions, the big spenders, and the president are all on the side of the angels. I really think we should be putting unemployed construction workers to work. And no, I don't quite agree with Rich that the way to solve the problem of a rusting overpass is for Google to build another overpass right alongside of it so we can have competition. I don't think that's efficient.
Well, but Sabrina, let's just look at the money involved here. The billions and billions of tax dollars from our fuel, from our car registration, from our tolls. Well, look at this list. It adds up to almost $100 billion there. I mean, there's over $100 billion. There's clearly enough to fill potholes, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this new bill is another $302 billion. Look, I sympathize with the problem of infrastructure problems. We have water main breaks here in Washington all the time that hold up traffic and cause lots of lost work hours. But the fact is, I think we need more transparency, competition, and accountability first before we throw more good money after bad. The reality is there is a lot that can be done to make sure that these projects are done correctly the first time.
Rick, is just one word, misallocation. So many times when these hundreds of billions of dollars are misallocated, it doesn't take hundreds of billions of dollars to fill potholes.
Yeah, I love that guy, by the way. We should have him here in the studio. He cracks me up. Look, I mean, I'm kind of with the Neil Cavuto school on this, where I agree we really should get an account gone. But what I do worry about is we're going to politicize this and argue about this for so long that we are quickly descending into a third world nation status with our infrastructure. Figure out if you want to go private, figure out if you want to go public. I'm willing to try it either way, but let's not mess around with this for too long.
But Steve, the point is that the money is there. More federal dollars. Washington doesn't have a clue about how to fix potholes in Indianapolis, does it?
Of course not. And the whole trust fund was set up to first build the interstate highway system and then maintain it. And now that the federal government can't do it, give the money back to the states. And the other thing to keep in mind on infrastructure, David, is we don't have a problem with freight rail in this country. Private sector does it very nicely. Don't have a problem with packages with FedEx and UPS. They do it very nicely. So when the private sector is involved, the capital is there, it's maintained, and innovation's brought in. Why not do it with highways?
And Mike, these transportation bills have become Exhibit A in government waste and boondoggles and every politician patting his own constituent, right?
Yeah, I think the way to fix all those potholes that Bill is concerned about is actually to shrink the scope of the bill. We don't need the transportation bill to monitor car imports from Mexico, the internet, and also be a bank as well, and then try to create green jobs. We need to fill Bill's potholes, and we could do that. There's more than enough money to do that if we just focus.
Yeah. Bill, as long as we have focus and accountability, just have accountability, and there's much less accountability coming from Washington than there is from these localities.
Well, I'm not sure that all state transportation departments are totally free of corruption.
No, but they're better than the feds, and they're closer to the action. They're closer to the actual potholes.
When I drive along state and federal routes and look overhead at the rusting girders, I think, wow, when is that going to fall on my head? I think we should be spending more money on this stuff.
Rich, go ahead.
What happened?
Well, look, everybody's right here. The U.S. is rapidly falling behind in infrastructure. You see it when you go particularly to Asia and you land at the airports and you go on the highways and then you come back here. Something has got to be done. I agree with Rick. But the government, which once was able to accomplish these great tasks, somehow is just completely incapable of doing it now.
Sabrina, I cut you off. Go on.
No. Well, I just want to know what happened to the stimulus money. We had nearly $1 trillion that was supposed to go towards shovel-ready jobs and solve our economic, our jobless rate. So I'm just confused what happened to that money. And now we're going to pour more money into this.
Rick, that's a great question. I have, by the way, a pile in my office. I've kept it ever since the stimulus came out back about 5 years ago. And it's not the whole thing, but a big chunk of that stimulus bill was supposed to be fixing potholes.
I'm glad you said that, because the question was a bit of an over-exaggeration. It wasn't $1 trillion towards that.
No, but it was billions of dollars.
Tax breaks. But I got to tell you, even where I live in California, or where I lived in California, we had a project going on in the city there that I could see every day was being paid for by that. Look, What's important here is if we can sit here and argue about this until the cows come home, people have to get concerned and serious about our infrastructure. People are going to get hurt. We are going to fall behind. This is not who we want to be.
But I think you put the pressure on the localities, right, Steve?
Yeah. Absolutely. You get accountability. People can see it there, as you see in Indiana. That illustration's the best thing going.
Last word. Reagan used to call block grants. Thanks, everybody. Well, everyone's abuzz about Jay-Z and Beyonce's privacy being invaded, but should our real beef be over who's collecting massive data on our kids at school? That's on Cashing In. But first, right here, lawmakers flying in style on your dime. Is it time to ground their first-class flight plans and toss them back into coach? That debate coming next.
Securing America.
Almost 2.5 million soldiers, Marines, airmen, and sailors have served in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, with hundreds of thousands coming home suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
We're losing more veterans right now to suicide than we've lost killed in action.
Sherry Duvall runs Canines for Warriors, a nonprofit program where shelter dogs are rescued, trained, and given to disabled veterans who often have a difficult time just leaving their homes.
When they go out, they see things that we don't see. I mean, they see a dangerous situation, even though in our minds that does not exist.
The service dogs become lifelong companions that help warriors battling PTSD.
Their families are re-engaged with them.
And Duvall says Canines for Warriors has been so successful that there's a 1-year waiting list for a service dog, which costs the very deserving warrior nothing. Jeff Manasso, Fox News Radio.
Hi, I'm Gerald McRaney. Is there anything you wouldn't do to live longer or feel better? Would you make a few simple changes in your lifestyle if you knew it could save your life? Take cholesterol. A high blood cholesterol level can cause strokes and serious heart disease, but exercise and simple changes in your diet can reduce cholesterol and make you feel better.
For your free booklet, visit the Will Rogers Institute at wrinstitute.org or call toll-free 877-957-7575 and find us on Facebook and Twitter. The Will Rogers Institute, since 1936.
Tom Sullivan.
What I don't understand, and you can fill in the blank, when they were sitting around at the White House and going, hey, why don't we have the president go to Walmart in Silicon Valley and give a speech on energy? Yeah. What were they? Fill in the blank. Why was the president, of all the places to talk about energy, why did they send the president to Walmart? What's up?
Tom Sullivan, weekday afternoons at 3 East, noon West. Or get the podcast at TomSullivan.com.
FoxNewsTalk.com.
Wanting to lose weight but given up on dieting? Then you may be eligible for a free bottle of the Skinny 6 Super Supplement, a weight loss breakthrough available for the first time ever. So please, listen carefully. Are you trying to lose more than 20 pounds? Are you 18 or over? Are you currently not dieting? If you answered yes to all of the above, congratulations. You qualify for a free bottle of the Skinny 6 Super Supplement. Be one of the first 100 callers when the phone lines open shortly. Unlike any diet supplement you've tried before, it combines the 6 most powerful, clinically proven weight loss ingredients into one miraculous super pill. But because the Skinny 6 Super Supplement is so powerful, this free bottle offer is only available to those not currently dieting. If you're 18 or over and wanting to lose over 20 pounds or more, find out how to claim your free bottle. Phone lines are open now. Call 1-800-460-9727. That's 1-800-460-9727. 1-800-460-9727.
Simple question. If our military has to fly coach, why shouldn't members of Congress? A small group of lawmakers has a bill that will force Congress out of first class and back into coach. Sabrina, you agree with this?
I absolutely do. Look, things have changed. In the early republic, lawmakers who are obsessed with their distinction were frowned upon and mocked by their peers. Clearly something has changed. Now we have lawmakers who are looking to opt out of Obamacare, who are driven around. They've turned into little kings. We absolutely need to rein them in.
Bill, don't we need a law to stop these guys? Many of them are rich from flying first class.
I don't like to see my tax money wasted either. But do we really want to clutter up our lives with more laws, regulations, statutes, and rules? I think the answer is publicity. What if the entire budget of each congressman were easily available online, and you could have the voters decide whether they like it?
We are going to start right here at Forbes by doing that, because John Tamny has a perfect example of one member of Congress, Charlie Rangel, doing what, John?
Well, I was flying from JFK down to St. Thomas, and I look into first class, and who's sitting there but Rep. Charlie Rangel? And it speaks to the basic point. As a taxpayer, I want a law against me having to pay for this. Beyond that, I think it should be painful to serve. It should not be full of perks to be in Congress, because that means they stay for life. We want them to leave as quickly as possible and join us so that they don't spend our money.
Steve, it's almost an insult to the Founding Fathers that we would have to write a law like this, because by definition, practically, they were against this sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact of the matter is Congress isn't supposed to do it, but they found a loophole and are taking advantage of it. So to Bill's point, you have to have a firm law. Publicity is good, but have the law as well. They give plenty of laws to us. And the other good thing of having him flying Coach David is they'll then want to be in favor of reforming air traffic control. We've got one of the blackguard systems in the world.
Yeah. And Carrie, half of Congress, just about exactly half of Congress are millionaires. Right. If they want first class, they can pay for it, right?
Exactly. Crimea River. I mean, these people are wealthy. If they want to pay that differential between Coach and their cushy first class, make them do it. We're all about welfare reform and means testing. Let's make flying first class means tested.
And Sabrina, I know it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't add up to billions of dollars. But again, people's trust in government is at a minimum right now. Most people don't trust government. It's just a matter of degree about how much they do. Something like this would at least kind of rein them in a little.
Well, absolutely, and it suggests to the American people that they don't take their jobs so lightly that they could just be wasteful. And I should say that there are some good representatives out there. I sat on a plane with Representative Collins from Maine, and she was sitting in coach with me.
So, Bill, did we convince you? Did we talk you into this?
No more statutes. Please save me from the lawyers.
Well, it's true. John Tamny, it is true. We got enough laws as it is, right? This is something that maybe we just shame them the way you did with Charlie Rangel.
Bill has an excellent point about more laws, but this is something where if they're actually spending our money, I want a law against them spending our money so that they can live well. No thanks.
And Steve, I don't know if you can shame these guys. There's enough
Charlie
evidence.
Rangel's beyond shame, and so are a lot of the, and Harry Reid as well. Ain't going to work.
All right. Coming up, a new report out saying more in the middle class cannot afford to buy homes right here in the U.S., but our informers have stocks that will help you achieve the American dream.
Weeknights on Fox Business. They don't follow party lines. They don't accept the status quo. They don't do boring television. They're the independents, breaking through the clutter with a different point of view on the day's news. From politics to pop culture, social issues to international affairs, they're calling it like it is.
Cut the nonsense.
Kennedy, Matt Welch, and Camille Foster are the independents. Weeknights at 9, only on Fox Business.
You're in the Fox Light.
Grease goes live, and Broadway's big news. Several Hollywood A-listers scored Tony Award nominations. Neil Patrick Harris, Idina Menzel, and Bryan Cranston all earned nods for their work on The Great White Way. Hugh Jackman hosts the 68th Annual Tony Awards, airing live June 8th. And Grease is the word for Fox. The network announced plans for Grease Live, a 3-hour TV version of the classic musical, to air next year. The 1978 film starring John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John has made over $400 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing movie musical in history. In Hollywood, Adam Housley, Fox News.
The Fox Light.
Keep listening for more focus from the Fox Light on Fox News Talk.
Alan Cole.
The free market could easily decide that the team can't function with him as owner, but on the other hand, let's face it, the NBA is not the government. You can't, as a caller astutely pointed out earlier tonight, you can't just claim First Amendment. My First Amendment, people will say to me when they get on the show that I'm infringing on their First Amendment rights. Only the government can take away your First Amendment rights.
Alan Cole. Be a part of it live, weekdays at 6 p.m. East, 3 p.m. West.
Online at foxnewstalk.com. Want to lose weight? Listen up, because an incredibly effective weight loss supplement is being given out to 100 callers right now. Because it's so potent, please take no more than 1 capsule a day. Be one of the first 100 callers to get a risk-free trial. 1-800-968-5765. Supplies are limited because this product is proven and can cause dramatic weight loss. It's called AF+. Take 1 capsule just once a day as directed, and you can experience maximum weight loss. pounds in days. It's all natural, safe, and healthy. But if your weight loss with AF Plus is too dramatic, please decrease use and only take it every other day. Only 100 callers are guaranteed to get a risk-free trial. Call 1-800-968-5765. Mayo Clinic research proves that carrying fat in your midsection raises your risk of heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, even cancer. If you need to lose weight, you absolutely must call now. 1-800-968-5765. 1-800-968-5765.
We are back with the stocks to help you live the American dream. Mike Johnson Controls. What are they? Why do you like them?
David, building materials, exceptionally well-run company, and I think their earnings is going to surprise on the upside the next couple of quarters.
Bill Baldwin, sound good?
This is such a great stock. Why do all the insiders spend all their free time selling the shares?
That's a word of caution. All right, CarMax. Why do you like CarMax?
Okay, it's a no-haggle used car lot chain. I'd love to buy used cars that way.
Mike Ozanian, he dissed your Johnson Controls. What do you think of CarMax?
Their earnings were disappointing last quarter, and I think they're going to continue to be disappointing. They're having trouble raising prices. In fact, prices fell last quarter.
2 recommendations, 2 warnings. Thanks, guys. That's it for Forbes on Fox. Have a wonderful weekend. Keep it right here. The #1 business blog continues with Eric Bowling and Cashing In. It's being called the worst prison break in American history. Murders, rapists, kidnappers, and drug dealers now walking free on the streets of America. They're out of jail, and America is out of patience. What the White House says will shock you. Plus, fast food workers want more, and more, demanding higher wages as food prices soar. How you could be eating the cost the next time you feed your family. And then, forget adults, now private companies are spying on our kids. Uncle Sam is doing nothing to protect them. Parents, pay attention. Your children are being watched. Cash In, watching out for you, starts right now. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Bowling. Welcome to Cashing In. Our Cashing In crew this week: Wayne Rogers, Jonathan Honig, Michelle Fields, and Jessica Ehrlich. Welcome, everybody. 36,000 convicted felons here illegally detained and set free. But ICE says they served their time before getting out. But really, folks, shouldn't they be the first ones deported ASAP? Many are murderers, rapists, and child molesters. Wayne, who's to blame for this?
Well, Eric, it's crazy. I mean, you got 193 homicides. These people, over 1,000 of aggravated assaults, 300 kidnappers, 400 sexual assaults. This is nuts. And you're releasing it. And the key word to this, by the way, is illegal aliens. These are illegal aliens. If you start with the word illegal, you got nowhere to go. That's indefensible.
Okay, so Jonathan, I'm scratching my head. I'm trying to figure out how homicide convicts, sexual assault convicts, kidnappers have, quote unquote, served their time already. Is that possible?
Well, do you believe that an American who commits a crime can serve his or her time, Eric? These individuals serve their time. And immigrants, whether you want to call them illegal or not, are good for the economy. Criminals are not good for the economy, but immigrants are good for the economy. They expand the economy. They produce, they buy, they shop, they work. They think we benefit from immigration. Criminals, however, are destructive, and that's why these people did their time. Many of them, by the way, had traffic violations. And Eric, to say you want to round them up and deport them, I don't think it's just totalitarian and draconian, but it's also bad for the bottom line, for America's bottom line.
So we should.
That we all want to see go on.
So Jonathan, you're suggesting we keep these criminals, these hardened criminals, these violent offenders, just let them walk the streets. It's okay, and hire them.
Well, they did their time, Eric.
Did
and in my opinion, they
where?
No.
I'm still looking for where they did their time.
Well, wait, did they not do their time? Did they not serve in jail, Eric?
I don't know.
Well, that's what ICE says, Eric. That's what the
okay, so we should take ICE's word for that.
So you can have a speculation.
Well, Michelle, go ahead. Let me bring Michelle in here. Are you buying this?
This is putting the American people at risk. I mean, these people came illegally.
From traffic violations?
They committed. Not all of them are traffic violations, Jonathan. There are people who
33,000 of them are traffic violations.
No. These people already committed a crime. They need to go. On top of that, we already have a bloated welfare system. Did they do their time?
So
these people. Jonathan, are they illegal? Yes, they are illegal. They came here illegally.
Did they do their time for the crime?
They did, yes, but they came here illegally. They need to be deported back to their country.
Well, okay, so
most of these people are in the process of being deported. The issue is that you've got a problem here that's going on, which is why we need a comprehensive immigration reform. happening in this country after almost 30 years.
No.
Because most of these folks, absolutely, because what's happening is you've got a judiciary system that is demanding, it's not the administration's fault here. The judiciary is demanding that these people, there are a Supreme Court case going back to 2001
they're not
saying
enforcing
people
the
have to
laws
be
on the
released
books. So
if
how
they're
are
in
we
the
going to do
deportation
comprehensive
system.
immigration?
They absolutely are. These people have already been arrested.
Let me do this. Allow me to do this.
And there aren't enough beds to keep these people in because they're not being funded properly.
Jess, hold on. You're saying this is not the administration's fault. This is President Obama this week talking about his immigration policy, and I'm going to tell you, this is the same week we find out that hardened criminals, murderers, rapists, kidnappers are being set free on the American streets. Listen to President Obama.
These are folks who are woven into the fabrics of our communities. Most of them are not making trouble. Most of them are not causing crimes. You got to spend time dealing with somebody who's not causing any other trouble other than the fact that they were trying to make a living for their families.
Okay, Wayne, so, the vast majority of we're trying to make a living or are trying to make a living for their families. However, let's talk about these 36,000 criminals. Shouldn't those be the first ones sent back?
Well, also, Eric, how are they trying to make a living for their family? If you go out and rob a bank because I'm making a living that way for my family, that's one thing. That's crazy. You cannot, as I said, all due respect to Jonathan, whose mind has gone soft, I think. You can't start with the word illegal. You cannot.
Let me ask you, what does the word illegal mean?
Just shut up a second and listen and stop talking all the time, will you? You start with the word illegal.
You've said that a dozen times.
You of all people want to support illegality.
Let me just ask you one question.
Okay, well, can we just talk about who's paying for these folks while they're in the criminal system?
Let Jonathan.
Can I just respond?
Guys, please, one at a time. Jonathan, go ahead.
Well, when you keep saying illegal, there's nothing illegal about existing. The government does not own the country, and if a private individual wants to have an illegal person, they're not violating anyone's rights simply by being here. And by giving the government the right to choose
they're violating the law, my friend. The law. That's what they're violating, and you don't support it? Okay.
All right, Michelle, but let's talk about this. Jonathan has a fundamental difference of opinion with some of the other people on the panelists, me inclusive, where he thinks, I believe, John, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, that there should be more immigration. I'm not against immigration.
There should be open immigration.
Hold on. How about doubling legal immigration or tripling legal immigration?
Absolutely. I'm absolutely for legal immigration. But I think what's happening here really calls into question this administration's enforcement and immigration policies. Democrats keep saying they want comprehensive immigration reform. How can we trust Democrats? How can we trust this administration when they will not enforce the laws that are on the books right now? There's no rule of law.
There isn't enforcement of the laws on the books right now. That's a completely erroneous statement.
Hold on,
this
John.
How disingenuous that are on the books.
John.
How disingenuous, Eric, to say that we should want more legal immigration. These people want to be legal. The only thing holding them up from being legal is government regulation and restrictions.
Is in fact the law. That's the only thing holding them up.
Exactly.
Hold on, guys. I want to bring Jessica in here one more time before we end this segment. Go ahead, Jessica, your last thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's an economic issue here as well because ICE just cut the number of beds. I mean, when these folks are in the process, most of these people are being deported. It's whether they are actually being held in ICE in their actual cells.
They're not detained. So they've been released into society.
Yeah.
They're being electronically monitored. They are being electronically monitored just like anyone else who's being released. So the question is, can we actually track these people, and how much money is it costing us as a society to continue?
Tag these people?
Can we tag these people?
Hold on. That's not necessarily the case. Some of them are being let go completely free without any tracking services whatsoever.
Right. Well, it depends on the level of what the courts have said that they need to have in terms of follow-up before they're deported.
All right,
some of them have been released into bonds and things like that.
It's a hot topic. It'll probably continue to be bubbling up throughout the summer. We'll hit it again later on in the summer. We have to leave it right there. But you can continue the conversation right now on Twitter. Hashtag cashing in. By the way, trending on Twitter. Get this 16 weeks in a row. Jump on board the cashing in bandwagon. We have literally thousands upon thousands of comments. Add yours because when cashing in trends, you trend. Can you make us 17 in a row? Let's take a look. Coming up, think your food is expensive now? If these union-backed protesters get their way, you may really pay.
Hi, this is Nicolas Cage. When you're a teenager, there are a lot of things going on that can produce stress and anxiety. The pressures of school, dating, and the future in general can seem overwhelming sometimes. But there are healthy ways to deal with stress. Ways to reduce it and channel your energy in positive directions. And you don't have to do it alone. The Will Rogers Institute has a free booklet with some really helpful information.
For your free copy, visit wrinstitute.org and find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Aaron Copland, who died in 1990, was an American composer of concert and film music who touched the heart of America and merged the classics with the truly American art form of jazz. As music trends were changing with the advent of rock and pop music in the 50s and 60s, Copland was open and excited about where music was headed.
If we thought that music should have flow, a kind of naturalness of flow, the younger people may think they should be just the opposite. It should be discontinuous. It has too much flow, and that the flow is too same-like, etc., etc. So that every possible principle that I might name to you, they can give you the very opposite idea as a possibility. I think it's more revolutionary now, and therefore more difficult for the young people to find themselves.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Shepard Smith reporting is a new way to get the news. There's breaking news now on Fox News Channel. I'm excited about this because my role has changed a lot. I'm kind of acting as quarterback, and I get to call the shot. I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about this. We're trying to be game changers. We've created all of this so that we can get news fast, accurate, fair, and balanced. We want to lead the pack. More of today's top headlines from the Fox News deck. Now is the time for Shepard Smith Report. Tune in to Shepard Smith Reporting, weekdays on the Fox News Channel.
If you need to lose 30 pounds or more, please listen carefully. Mayo Clinic research proves that carrying fat in your midsection raises your risk of heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, even cancer. If you need to lose at least 30 pounds, we're inviting you to participate in a limited release of a groundbreaking weight loss supplement called Final Trim. To participate in this risk-free trial and lose weight now, call this toll-free number in the next 5 minutes, 1-800-390-2121. Final Trim can mean the difference between a failed diet and a weight loss success story. Please lose weight with Final Trim responsibly and take no more than 2 capsules once a day. For your participation, you will be given a full-size supply to use absolutely risk-free. Participation is strictly limited. Only call if you need to lose weight for legitimate reasons. To lose weight now and participate in this risk-free trial of Final Trim, call toll-free 1-800-390-2121. Phone lines will be open for the next 5 minutes. 1-800-390-2121. 1-800-390-2121.
Fast food workers breaking out the protest signs in hundreds of American cities demanding their employers hike the minimum wage 100% to $15 an hour. Think about that the next time you reach into your wallet and fork over bigger and bigger bucks for that burger or burrito. Jonathan, food prices soaring lately. This would make them go higher, right?
Indeed, Eric, they would. I mean, the key word here is demanding. Only robbers make demands. If these people think their work is worth $15 an hour, they should go out and find a job that pays them $15 an hour. They have no right, people have no right to a job at any wage. And in fact, the higher minimum wage is discrimination against exactly these low-skilled people. It doesn't allow them to begin to build the skills to earn that higher wage. So this is literally shooting themselves and the economy in the foot at the same time.
So, Michelle, what do you think is going to happen? Either my chalupa is going to cost more, or I don't know, maybe the guy I'm ordering the chalupa from will now be a box or a machine.
Exactly. You know, these people are demanding more and more money, but they don't realize that what's going to happen is their jobs are going to be cut. If the minimum wage were to go up to $15, their jobs would be cut, or they will be replaced by iPads, by tablets. They won't need them anymore. If these people spent just as much time improving their job skills as they did going out there and protesting, they would be able to get a better job that paid more money.
Right. Jessica, the CBO, when President Obama was talking about raising the national minimum wage from $7.25 just to $10.10 an hour, the CBO scored that as potentially losing 500,000 jobs. What do you think $15 an hour would do to these fast food workers' employment?
I think it would allow them to actually be able to buy meat for their own families and be able to feed themselves and their loved ones. That's what we're seeing right now. I mean, this argument really doesn't make much sense to me when you're talking about, okay, the price of meat is going up, people are paying more at the grocery store, but let's not pay wages that are commensurate to the cost of living. That creates an entire class of people who are more and more in the poverty line. It disincentivizes people from working, because if you're working 2 minimum wage jobs and you still can't even feed your family, and you're increasing the number of hungry children in this country.
Hang in there. Well, sorry. So Wayne, let me throw it to you. Jessica points out that it's just enabling people to earn a living wage is what the Democrats like to talk about. But Wayne, will it not affect hiring and firing in America if they do this?
Absolutely,
It's been
Eric,
repeatedly
it does.
proven
Of course,
that that's a fallacy.
Excuse me, I thought he was talking to me.
I am. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. The fundamental problem here is you're talking about a free economy. In a free economy, labor has the same competition that everybody else does. If you're capital conscious, you have competition. If you're production conscious, you have competition. Labor has competition. If I can buy labor at $10 an hour or $5 an hour, $6, whatever it is, that's what should be in a free economy. It has nothing to do with everybody is entitled. This is not an entitlement government. This is not an entitlement society. You compete. If you compete and you compete at a certain level, that's the fair price, and that's how you arrive at it.
So, Jessica, are you disputing the CBO that says if you raise the minimum wage, jobs will flee?
Yeah, I mean, there are many different studies that are talking about whether or not people will be hiring less, how it will be affect. I mean, the main problem here is a general economic one. You know, yeah, there's competition for jobs. Absolutely. A lot of that competition, and not just in fast food restaurants, are illegal immigrants, by the way. People need to be able to feed themselves. You can't call a living wage.
You're just making emotional arguments.
Let me just clarify. That is absolutely, it is absolutely not the
minimum wage. Please, go ahead, John.
Well, the minimum wage does kill jobs. I mean, that's not my assessment. That was the assessment of the Labor Department 70 years ago when the first minimum wage was assessed. So it hurts exactly the people that you're trying to help. And to Wayne's point, wages aren't arbitrary. They're not based on feeling. They're not based on how much you like someone. They're actually based on the economic realities of the situation. The fact is that flipping burgers is a low-skill job. If they want to make more money, they need to improve their skills. And if you want to help someone who can't afford their meals, you should help them as a private individual.
Let me bring
Michelle
in.
Are you making two arguments that absolutely, yes.
Jess, please, let me bring Michelle in here.
Sure.
Jonathan makes a very, very good point. A lot of people go to McDonald's, they start their career at McDonald's, and they frankly use it as a stepping stone
into
further career advancement. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a job that's supposed to be with you for the rest of your life. This is oftentimes what the jobs that young people get. And if you raise the minimum wage, businesses need to account for that adjusted cost. And what they do is they cut these jobs. And who that hurts? African Americans, young people, Latinos. And, you know, Jess, you're talking about all these emotional arguments, but you're not going to the main point, which is that jobs are going to be killed and that people are going to have to pay more for these goods and for these services.
Right. All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. Coming up, forget spying on Jay-Z and Beyonce in an elevator. Wait until you hear who's spying on your kids in school.
In-depth, insightful, intelligent. Get it all. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern to Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Channel. Every Sunday, Maria's sitting down with the biggest players in Washington and Wall Street, asking the tough questions and bringing a new perspective on the nation's most pressing issues. Every Sunday, tune in 10 a.m. Eastern to Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Channel. Don't miss it.
You're in the Fox Light.
Legend locks up the top spot. Rebel gets a remake. Will Ferrell went back to the Stone Age to find his next project. Warner Brothers has tapped the Anchorman star to exec produce an animated reboot of the Flintstones for the big screen.
This is American Idol.
Good news for American Idol fans. Fox has officially renewed the singing competition series for a 14th season. Rebel Wilson is headed to boot camp. The funny lady has signed on to star in a remake of Goldie Hawn's classic 1980 comedy, Private Benjamin.
I'm on your magical mystery ride.
And John Legend's All of Me was #1 on the Billboard singles charts this week, bumping 10-week champ Pharrell Williams' Happy down to second. In Hollywood, Adam Housley, Fox News.
The Fox Light.
Keep listening for more focus from the Fox Light on Fox News Talk.
According to the journal Science, published Thursday, a 45-year-old woman in Montana received immune cells specifically grown to attack the mutations that make them cancerous. The treatment, known as immunotherapy, uses the patient's own modified immune system to attack the genetic anomalies in a tumor in a new attempt at a cure for the disease. Immunotherapy has been most effective in melanoma and kidney cancers. House Call for Help, I'm Kirsten McNary.
If you're overwhelmed by debt and thinking about going to a credit counseling company for help, think again, because the majority of those companies actually work for the credit card companies, and they make the credit card companies a lot of money. from people just like you. But there's another way out of debt, and it's not bankruptcy. A way to reduce your debts and save you thousands of dollars. Even better, you can find out how for free by calling 1-800-509-3950. At Freedom Debt Relief, we're not a credit counseling organization. We're not a debt consolidation company. We offer a unique alternative to save you the most money possible to resolve your debt in the shortest amount of time. If you're thinking about a credit counselor, ask yourself this. Are they working for you or the credit card companies? Reduce your debts and save thousands of dollars by learning the secrets to settling your debt. For free information, call 1-800-509-3950. That's 1-800-509-3950. 1-800-509-3950.
Hello, everybody. I'm Uma Pimaraju in Washington. Firefighters near San Diego gearing up for yet another day of fighting those stubborn and powerful fires that are destroying so many homes. News of one man now under arrest in connection with one of the nearly dozen fires that have burned more than 20,000 acres and killing one person, causing more than $20 million in damages. We'll bring you the dramatic images in a live report near Camp Pendleton, where 3 fires continue to burn. The political firestorm continues in the growing Veterans Affairs scandal, despite news that a top VA official is stepping down. Critics say it doesn't mean much since he was planning to retire anyway. Later this year, we will be checking in with Congressman Mike Kaufman, who serves on the House Veterans Affairs Committee. And she's a one-of-a-kind entertainer, the one and only Dolly Parton. At 68, she shows us no signs of slowing down. You'll hear from this woman, an American original. All that and much more coming up in about 10 minutes. Stay with us.
Talk about the creepy uncle. Private companies now spying on our kids while they're on their computer in school, and Uncle Sam is doing nothing about it. In fact, laws make it easier for this to happen. The companies say this helps further kids' education. Privacy experts say this is a big brother at its worst. Michelle, we're even peeping on our kids. By the way, there's a 1974 law that allows schools to take that information, that data, and sell it to private companies. Your thoughts?
Look, we're living 1984 right now, and Big Brother isn't just the government. Big Brother is the government, it's private companies oftentimes working together. And Republicans and Democrats in Washington, D.C. right now are for once united. They're united against the American people when it comes to the issue of privacy. This administration promised to be the most transparent ever, and instead they're spying on us. They're allowing private companies to spy on us, and they're working together to trample on our rights and freedoms.
Wait, it's one thing spying on me, and that ticks me off enough. But spying on my kid in high school and grade school, that really makes me mad.
Well, Eric, it all should make you mad, because the fact of the matter is they're taking this information and then selling it. That's what makes it trashy. They're gathering it under the aegis of saying we're doing something wonderful educationally for your child. Then they turn around and sell that for commercial reasons. No, and the worst of all is to let the federal government have that information. It's intolerable.
All right, Jess, Politico is running a series called Beyond the NSA. It's fantastic. You check it out. But there's so much information. There are so many things that are going on. Who's watching the watchers?
Well, I mean, I think this is actually one time where we can all agree that regulation of private industry and business is an important thing to protect the American consumer. And right now, I mean, it's a small step. It's going to take a while to get implemented, but you do have senators from Massachusetts and Senator Markey and Senator Hatch who have come together and have brought forth bipartisan legislation to put some controls on FERP, which is the current sort of organization that you mentioned from 1970s. But we've got to do something going forward in order to protect children. This information is already out there. It can be sold going forward.
Oh,
it can be used to target them into their futures.
How many bad ideas have come forth because we've said we've got to do something to protect the children? My God, I've heard that a million times. I mean, Eric, of course the government's not doing anything to protect children here. Who's doing this? Government-controlled schools. If you had a private school system, you could choose to fund or send your kids to schools that didn't engage in this type of analysis. And I think you're wrong to call it spying. Data analysis has been around for decades, and in many cases, as you alluded to, it actually helps a child in an educational environment because it can tailor that lesson for that child's needs. So the problem is the fact that schools are government-run, not the fact that companies are innovating when it comes to education.
Jonathan, I'm all for using data to help make life better across the board, whether it be education or transportation, whatever. But you know what? I want to be able to decide whether or not my kid's data is used or not.
But don't you want to be able to decide where your kid goes to school?
They're asking about their parents. This is not something that's being run by public schools. They don't have the
yes,
ability
it is.
for that.
No, actually it is.
It is. Of course
actually, it is by the public schools who are data mining our kids and selling it to private institutions.
Hang on,
just go ahead, John.
Issue in Missouri.
John, go ahead.
Well, of course this is going on in public schools. The public schools are the ones that are bringing this technology in. And Eric, you talked about you should have the choice. Of course, you should have the choice not to support this type of activity. But because we have compulsory education, we've made education a right. Our tax dollars have to go towards, to use your words, spying on our kids.
Okay, we'll leave it right there. I thought you were going to be with me on that one, Jonathan. We're going to say thank you very much. Hey, great having you, Jessica, early this week. Thank you very much. Coming up, a legal war over Obamacare. Americans saying they're being duped by the president.
Hi, I'm Harry Anderson. For a good, uncomplicated way to exercise, take a walk. At any age, walking is one of the best ways to keep your heart fit and your joints limber, without the injuries that jogging or some aerobics can cause. Ask your shoe salesman for a shoe that's designed for walking. And ask your doctor to help you plan an exercise walking program that's right for you. Soon, you'll be on the road to better health.
A message from the Will Rogers Institute, wrinstitute.org.
After Kilmeade, it's John Gibson at noon East on FoxNewsTalk.com. Fox Rocks.
I'm Kirsten McNary. American Idol slimming down. Fox announcing the show will go from more than 50 hours this season to 37 next season. Online Bruce Springsteen Museum blindedbythelight.com will go live in June, coinciding with the 30th anniversary of Born in the USA. Artifacts include the boss's first grade report card. Rick Springfield telling Fox News Radio his new novel, Magnificent Vibrations, involves conversations with God.
I was raised with a specific way of viewing God, and it didn't sit with me properly later on as I got older, so I went searching myself. And I think a lot of people are doing that now.
You can hear the rest of the interview on FoxNewsRadio.com. And Motley Crue's farewell tour kicks off this summer, but Tommy Lee is already making music with another band, playing drums on the upcoming Smashing Pumpkins album, Monument to an Elegy. That's Fox Rocks from Fox News Radio.
If you own a business, you know incorporating can be a smart way to protect yourself and your assets. So the question is, why haven't you incorporated your business yet?
My business? It's too small.
Wrong. No matter how small your business